Welcome to the RD Squeeze. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Emily.
And we're two dietitian besties here to squeeze out the misinformation around health and nutrition. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RD Squeeze. We are so excited. We are coming to the end of our season. We have a couple episodes left, 1 or 2 episodes left. So very excited to have one of our guests, our final guest for the season of our women's health kind of theme. So we have MaryRose Ammirati, who her and I went to school together. So we go way, way back. And Emily and I were looking for a certified lactation counselor to bring on the podcast, who was also potentially a dietitian. And I remembered seeing MaryRose post something about being a lactation counselor. And I was like, oh, MaryRose would be great. She's got a great personality. Here I come to find out MaryRose has never been on a podcast. Is that correct?
No, and you didn't tell me this was the finale. That's a little added pressure here.
No worries. You're going to do great. Best for last. No, I'm kidding. All of our guests were amazing, but yeah, pretty close to the best. But I mean, this topic is really cool too. And so you are a dietitian, you're a lactation counselor, and you are a dietitian for WIC as well. And you are the founder and owner of Lilac Nutrition, which I love that name. I think that's so cute and just so on point. So welcome, MaryRose. Very excited to have you.
Lovely to be
Thanks
here.
Thanks for coming.
So MaryRose, we always like to have our guests kind of tell us about themselves. I mean, what even got you into dietetics? You know, what were you interested in before? Were you always interested in this? And kind of, you know, your background and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so I guess before college, in high school, I was always into sports and just being healthy in general. My dad was diagnosed with diabetes when I was in high school, so I wanted to be like a good resource for him and for even other people, like both my grandparents. It was just ran in my family, so I wanted to be like a trusted, legitimate resource for my family members. Is why I really got into nutrition in the first place. So yeah, I found myself at Marywood University, and I'm not sure if it exists anymore, but it was the coordinated program is what was the track I went through.
Yeah, the coordinated program unfortunately does not exist anymore, but that's because of the master's requirement. Yeah. So we kind of moved it to an MSDI, but now we're moving to a graduate program, which I've talked about on the podcast before, but it's a little bit different, but very exciting nonetheless. But then, yeah, just like, you know, your background, were you always interested in getting into lactation and working with children?
So talking about that now, so I did the coordinated program and graduated, and because of that, I was able to sit for the RD exam pretty quick. So like the next month, I passed the exam. Thank you. Thank God. But then, I moved back to Long Island here, New York, and real talk, it took me a while to find a job. I left the area of Pennsylvania and kind of lost all my contacts and the ins that I had there. So I ended up back home. It did take me a while to find something, good and secure. And I ended up at, the WIC program. And it was one of those things, I felt like the universe was taking care of me. So I had a feeling like when I applied for that job, I was going to get it. And I did. And I've been there since. That was like a decade ago almost. That's really weird. But yeah, and I ended up learning so much there, and they sent us to go get our CLC. And I was really happy to fall into this because it had nothing to do with sports, a little bit to do with diabetes, but I thought I'd be like a certified diabetes educator, and I'm not. But here I am, I'm a CLC. And at first, I had a bit of imposter syndrome because I've never been pregnant, and honestly, I've never breastfed myself. I don't think anyone's done that, but I haven't breastfed a child before. But then
I don't know. We talked about colostrum one episode, so
yeah, we did. So and so you can also help us out with that one a little bit too. We covered a little bit, but okay. I mean, people are doing weird stuff. But anyway,
that's very true. But yeah, so now I love it, and I learned so much at WIC, and I wanted to help more people, and that's why I started my side hustle, Lilac Nutrition, with one of my coworkers and friends, Katie. Lilac, Li for Long Island, Lactation, Nutrition. Our
That's so
logo
cool.
is a lilac flower with a drop of breast milk too. So yeah, I got to this age that my peers, my cousins, my friends all were having babies and breastfeeding, and somehow I became the go-to person, the girl that's not pregnant, never been pregnant or breastfeeding. And I just, for something so universal, I feel like it's such a niche thing to know about. It's just kind of crazy. So yeah, I would get text messages from my cousins, then my cousin's friend's cousin, and then this whatever. I became the lactation girl. So we decided, me and Katie, to start our side business. So we do WIC during the day and then Lilac after hours. So, and on weekends. So I found myself in this position to really help women, which is like something I'm really passionate about now. So, so yeah, that's how I came to be.
Well, that is wonderful with everything you're doing. And to remind our audience, so WIC stands for the Women, Infants, and Children's Program. Can you explain that just a little bit more for everyone?
Yeah, so WIC, it's for low-income pregnant women, infants, which at WIC we consider an infant until age 1, and then children until age 5. Also cover women postpartum up to either 6 months after or a year after, depending on their breastfeeding status. So if they are fully breastfeeding their baby, or even mostly breastfeeding their baby, they actually get WIC for a full year after they deliver. And yeah, it is a low income program, so it is a vulnerable population. And I do love it. I had to learn how to speak Spanish, so I do a lot of that there as well. Not everyone speaks Spanish, but a lot of people do. And I'm very happy. I consider it a privilege to get paid to help people, and I'm really happy to be there.
And I think that's why we all became dietitians, right? We wanted to help people in some way. And I think this niche that has come to you, or however you came to it, really, really speaks volumes. And I think that's so wonderful. And like you said, it's like a niche that, like, this was my favorite topic in school, I have to say, but I don't even work in it. Like you said, like, I loved sports nutrition, and like, I'm not working in that either, but you just get pulled to areas that, like, for some reason it's what you're meant to do. With that being said, like, I am starting to see more clients of mine that are in that population. So for me to like sit here and learn a little bit more, remind myself a little bit more, I like love this stuff. So for me, if I were to like switch gears, yeah, I'd have to relearn some things and everything, but I love it. So put me into it and you got me.
Yeah. On that note, I wanted to say, I learned, was it life cycle nutrition or nutrition, right?
Nutrition throughout the life cycle or something. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we're spending so much time on breastfeeding. Like, can we move it along? And now I'm like, there needs to be a whole course about this. It needs to be taught in high schools. Like, it really is just, this is kind of what I always say. As women, we're almost expected to have kids, and we go our whole life and we're not even taught what happens, what do we do, and they hand you this baby and it's like, like, what's going on, it's just crazy, like, how the world is. But that's why I like to talk about this topic, so excited to answer any questions.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I actually, so I went to a different undergrad. I went to Bowling Green State University in Ohio, and we actually did have just a straight maternal class. So that's why it was my favorite class, because it was straight maternal. My teacher loved breastfeeding. She was like the breastfeeding guru. So we did touch on it for like a whole semester. And my one good friend was our TA. So I remember her coming in, and she was one who, she's like, I'm never breastfeeding if I have kids. So it was just funny. But yeah, favorite class of mine. I don't know, Mickey, how about you?
So I do remember liking that class. I did like more of the community and nutrition education classes, which, I mean, kind of tracks because I got into community nutrition after and everything. So I did remember liking this. I was not good at M&T, so that never was my strong suit either. So like, it's just interesting how all the things kind of work out. But I mean, for this topic in particular, MaryRose, like, I know it seems like, people are just like, oh, you just breastfeed, like, that's the thing. But there's so many different, like, nuanced information. There's different, needs and considerations and just all this stuff. So, I mean, first of all, people might not even know what a certified lactation counselor is or does and how that kind of integrates into being a dietitian and just like, so can you tell us a little bit about that and the journey to become a CLC?
Yeah, so you don't have to be an RD to become a CLC. In fact, a lot of people aren't. It's kind of, like I said, sort of like a niche to be a dietitian with a lactation certification. Um, it's the path to become one. What we did, what WIC sent us for, was a week long intensive class. At the time, it was in New York City. Um, and then you had to pass an exam. It was a practical, a written, and then of course it's continuing ed credits as you go along. So that's the certified lactation counselor class. After I left that class, I really did love it, and I thought like anyone who even wants to breastfeed like should be taking this class because you just learn so much. Um, and then the level above that is IBCLC, which is International Board Lactation Consultant, which is just a little bit more hours and another exam and just more continuing ed credit as well. The reason why I didn't do that, I could do it. I could sit for the exam. It just kind of was going hand in hand with my RD license. Some people who are strictly doing breastfeeding would become like the IBCLC if that was like their only thing that they were doing, which is great. Potentially, IBCLCs can accept insurance too. Not all insurances, but that's another reason why someone would do it. My business partner, Katie, for Lilac Nutrition, she is not a dietitian. She's a dietetic technician. So she may go on to do the IBCLC, and I would be the RD. So that's the reason why. But essentially, they function as the same thing. So
Sure. So what do they do?
so it's so they can work in hospitals. So in the labor and delivery. Um, for that, the hospital usually hires like a nurse. It's so funny. Like they always want to hire nurses that are CLCs, but not dietitians that are CLCs. It's so funny. But so they'll help get women started. What we do is, which I'm very a big proponent of, is education before delivery. You want to educate prenatally or even before you're pregnant. That's what we focus on a lot at Lilac. And then even at WIC, because we see pregnant women. So it's really preparing someone for what's about to happen, because like your whole life's about to change, really. And if you want to breastfeed, it, like you said, I think you're saying before, it's natural, but it's not so simple, So just teaching people the tools, proper latch, milk supply, like, oh my gosh, my milk's yellow, like what's going on, colostrum. So just providing that education for women and their families as well, because that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah. So I guess, MaryRose, there's all those nutritional considerations for pregnant women and then lactating women. So like when you speak with a new client, either at WIC or in your business, where do you start and how do you help them?
From a nutrition standpoint,
I guess so, yeah, from a nutrition standpoint and from a lactation. Like, and I guess, do they overlap? Does it help to be a dietitian or does it like, do they overlap at all or is it kind of like very separated?
I mean, there is definitely some overlap. I would say a lot of women like to come to us afterward because they kind of want to start feeling better, but also like not lose their milk supply as well. Um, I It's just very important for pregnant women and breastfeeding women to really be eating and feeding themselves. I don't really like to talk specifically about, like we were kind of saying, like calories and all of that. I focus more on making sure, you don't go more than 2 to 3 hours without eating something. You don't want your blood sugar to drop. Little situations like that. It's very different with the WIC population than it is with Lilac. It's kind of like, it's because it's more low income and they have different access to food than maybe the people I see at Lilac. So it really is just kind of meeting them where they are and where can we go from there. And it's, and it's possible. And sometimes people sort of have ideas and they kind of know, but it's just like being that support system to guide them through it. If they're not interested in breastfeeding, sometimes when I just talk to them a little bit about it, sometimes they start to be. But I always say women, like, they have to do what's best for them. You know, if you want to use formula, it's going to be okay. Like, you know, if you want to give breastfeeding a go, you know, try it, you know. But I always go back to the mom has to do what's best for her because the baby's going to be okay.
So what kind of changes happen in the mom as they're, they've had their baby? Like, how soon can they start breastfeeding? And like hormonally, what's going on for the breast milk then?
Well, there's a lot going on. So, I always, so for Lilac, we do prenatal education course, which is great. It's kind of like what to expect. And I always use this example of when you're in a, stay with me, when you're in a pool and you're underwater and like you hear like muffled sounds and maybe it's like a little bit warm under there, and then you come out, and that's kind of what the baby's going through. So with that, you know, there's a lot happening with the mom's hormones and everything, and that's why we teach skin to skin right away. So that relaxes the baby, and that starts signaling to the mom for her body to start making breast milk. They have to deliver the placenta as well, so that also is an indication to the mom's body to start producing the milk. That's the prolactin, and then oxytocin is the hormone that would help the milk get released. It is a little bit delayed with C-section, so that's a whole other thing as well, but you can definitely still breastfeed with a C-section. But yeah, things start happening. I always try to tell moms to give themselves grace, because even the first 2 weeks, it's hard. Like, your hormones are up and down and up and down, and you have this new baby. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on, and I think just knowing that ahead of time gives you peace of mind. But when you're not given this education, you're like, what is going on with me? So I don't know if that answered the question exactly, but
Yeah, but you hear a lot too, just going off like the delay maybe sometimes and how well you're breastfeeding. You hear sometimes that like stress can prevent it from being as good as it could be. Or talk about maybe a little bit to the latching and maybe explain what latching means.
oh yeah. So technically, we would want the baby to latch within the first hour of life. Um, I always, one of the first things I say in class as well is that's really important, that no one ever, I don't remember even being taught this. Maybe I was. It's been a long time since I've been in school, but the baby's belly size is the size of a marble. Okay. So like that's how much milk is going to come out at first. So you think you're not making anything, but you're actually making enough to fill up the baby's belly. So, and that's going to be the colostrum. It's going to be, you know, thicker. It's I always say it's thick because it kind of teaches the baby how to swallow properly. I always say, you've probably choked on water before? It goes down the wrong pipe. But have you ever choked on like a milkshake? No.
Oh, water all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why like it's a little bit thicker. It wouldn't even fill, if you were to pump it out, it wouldn't even fill the bottom of the bottle. So it's frequent feeds, because that belly is going to fill up quick. It's going to empty. It's going to fill. It's going to be like, I just freaking fed you. What's going on? So that's like the first 3 days. Latching. I wish I had my puppet. We have a puppet that we use. There's again, you would think that it's natural, but there's a whole like way to get a baby to latch properly. The first thing I always say is that mom needs to be comfortable, because you don't want to be in an uncomfortable position and then the baby latches on, and because you're a good mom, now you're like twisted and the baby's on, and then like now you have neck and back problems. So mom needs to be in a comfortable position. Skin to skin. Okay, we signal, we calm down, we get zen, we're good to go. And then there's a bunch of different positions to do, but the key is nose to nipple. Were you ever taught this? Nose to nipple.
No.
So I wish I had my puppets. It's like, say this was like,
Darn puppets.
yeah. You would think that you would want to line the baby's mouth up directly with the nipple, but they have a reflex that they gape back. So you actually want to line up the nose to the nipple and latch on. So, not again, this is things that people don't know. So, when you're thinking you're not making enough milk, you're putting the baby on maybe a little bit incorrectly, it's not latching on, then the hospital hands you like a 2-ounce bottle of formula, and now you're thinking you should be making that much formula for breast milk at a time. It's very misleading. It's a very high stress situation, which is why I'm a proponent of educating before we have babies. So, again, I don't know if that answered your question. I'm just,
Yeah, definitely. The latching is super important. And tell us a little bit about like the latching, why that's so important in regards to then the sucking and getting the milk out and what that does.
yeah. So, of course, it signals, it starts again, it's more hormones, it's the baby's saliva kind of signals to the mom's body again to start producing and releasing the milk, um, which is, it's one way to do it. I also don't like to shame people who maybe don't want to latch. So pumping is also a great thing to do as well, or hand expression, which is another thing we teach in class. So if you're not someone who wants to latch, it's still totally okay. Um, it does, there are like certain benefits for latching, of course, like bonding with the baby, and certain antibodies that can be made. Like the breast milk is really an awesome thing that is in nature and can adjust itself exactly for the baby's needs. So, but again, just pumping is also effective as well.
um, MaryRose, I mean, again, not trying to. I understand that there's like people that will want to latch, people that will want to do hand expression, and then people that may want to just pump and then bottle feed. So, in certain circumstances, can you talk about a little bit why maybe a mother might choose one or the other? And like I said, they're all okay, but like maybe why would they choose one or the other?
I find for each situation, like if you're just nursing strictly, that's a mother's choice. It's also really convenient. You never have to wash a bottle. um, that's as long as like the latch is good and everything. Some people want to do both, so they'll nurse and pump. That is mostly because they want help feeding the baby. So the partner will be involved in feeding. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, anybody can do that as well. Um, and then I don't know if we're going to talk about formula, but that's a whole other reason as well. And then there's always combo feeding. So every single mom is different in what they want to do. Even with each of their kids, it's different every time. We had someone who was just exclusively a pumper. She just didn't feel comfortable latching the baby just for personal reasons. Her next pregnancy, she did it with her second kid, and then pumped and latched and did both, and breastfed. Both babies got breast milk for a full year. So there's many different ways to do it. You have to do what's best for yourself. I'll always say that.
And we always used to hear in school, breast is best. That's at least what my teacher used to say. And I think we've talked about this when we were talking about the colostrum, is that yes, there are so many benefits you alluded to already with breast milk, and it can do so many wonderful things just naturally. But that doesn't mean that choosing formula is horrible for your child then.
100%. Yeah. I actually stay away from that saying breast is best. I just don't like the shame. Like,
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you walk around, can you tell who was breastfed and who was formula fed? No. So I always am like mom centered. I know that might be bad, like okay, the beat, but yeah, like I'm so protective of the moms and what's best for them, for sure.
Well, I think that's smart too because, like you said, I think the baby will be fine in any case, right? Like they're gonna be fed no matter what, but who's really going to be affected is the mom, right? Like and I like the point that you made too that even bottle feeding, like pumping and then bottle feeding, that allows other people to be involved, like I said, your partner be involved, because they can't sometimes, I mean, if they want to sit with you for moral support or something, but like it allows them also the opportunity to bond with the baby, you know, maybe not at the exact same level as, to nipple, but in terms of like there, it gives that opportunity. It also gives mom maybe a break. Like, and like I said, there's really no wrong reason or reason why to do what you want to do. It really just is best for the mom. So I like that. That's the viewpoint that you take.
Definitely.
So with that, I mean, we can talk about like the nutritional considerations for mom first, like, if she is going to breastfeed or pump or whatever, like, so what, I guess, what kind of nutrients should she be, thinking about, in terms of food. And I know you mentioned, you want them to eat at least every like 2 to 3 hours potentially, and they don't necessarily have to count calories or anything. And then I've also, I have no children of my own and I've never breastfed or anything like that. But in terms of like milk production, that's always like a huge thing. And there's so many products out there to enhance milk production. And sometimes I wonder if that's like also another scam or if they really do help. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I'm sure Emily would too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm chomping at the bit about that part of the question.
You go for it. If this is the ranting part, MaryRose, please tell me, because
Okay, I mean, so the first part, just like nutritional considerations, I always encourage with pregnancy and breastfeeding, even postpartum, like, first of all, a prenatal vitamin is like really important to try to take. Some women in their first trimester, they're so sick and nauseous that like they're having trouble eating in general. So even breaking it in half, taking half in the morning, half in the evening is like something to do. Again, I know you want like specific nutrients, but really it's the same thing for everybody. We want like an overall healthy diet. We want vegetables, we want fruit, protein, healthy fats. Like, it really is the same thing for everybody. And that's why I always focus on, I know it's best to get it from food, but just realistically, like, making sure to have a good prenatal vitamin is just easier for women who are going through this stage of their life. And staying hydrated. I always recommend have multiple water bottles throughout your house. Like, I always say, have a straw. Like, you're more likely to drink like this than like this. It's science. But
agree, it is easier.
it is. I also agree. When I have a straw, there's no stopping me. But when I have to do this, I never drink. So
yeah, for sure. I always say that. Put a straw. Yeah. But okay. So products about milk production. Okay. Is it a scam? Yeah, it is. So the only way to make more milk is to empty the breast. Okay? If there was a magic food that was going to enhance milk production, I am a dietitian. I would be all for it. I'm a dietitian and a certified lactation counselor. You think that if there was a food, like, I wouldn't be telling everyone who's breastfeeding to eat it? There isn't. It's more about releasing the milk. It's like an ice maker. You take ice out of the freezer, it starts making more ice. That's really the trick to it. So if you want to make more milk, you either you do another nursing session, you add a pumping session. You want to stop making milk, you take a session away. It's really just as simple as that. All of these products that are pushing like these supplements and these lactation cookies.
The cookie.
I say all I hear about these are these cookies.
Like the oats. Oh, I mean, no, it's just like you're preying on a vulnerable population that are probably desperate to make more milk, and then you're giving them these
costly cookies
that aren't gonna really do anything except spike your blood sugar. Like, what are we doing here? I know. I really wish there was something that I could say, but that is just the truth right there.
That's all we're looking for. We're not looking for anything in particular. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of, like, what are these cookies? What's in these cookies? Tell me. No. And there's nothing, right? Like, there's nothing in them. And like you said, there's no
I mean,
there's stuff in them, but I
yeah.
mean, like, there's nothing that's going. There's no magic ingredient that's gonna make them create like gallons of breast milk at a time.
No, and even when I go to like health fairs and like we have a booth there, I walk around and people, other like lactation people sometimes will have it on their table. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, it's just, to me, it's not ethical. But yeah, if you want to make more milk, empty. You could nurse, you can pump, you can hand express. That's the way to do it.
I really like that ice cube tray analogy.
Yeah,
I think
I'm all
that's
about
great.
metaphors. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's how I
I think
speak
that's
now.
fantastic. So what else? Is there anything that will reduce milk supply then?
A decongestant. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I would say there are some medications that will do that. So when you are nursing and you go to the doctor, you have to advocate for yourself and you have to make it known that I am nursing, because there are some doctors that will prescribe anything and it does affect milk supply. So like Sudafed decongestants will decrease your milk supply. And then just skipping feedings, that's what ends up kind of doing it. The baby starts drinking less and less, your body starts to wean itself off. But there's not really a food that's gonna produce less. It doesn't really have to do with that. It's more the anatomy, I guess. Physiology.
Now, what about foods and how they relay into breast milk, and then how a baby might then feed from that? Can you elaborate on that more?
Yeah, so I mean there are certain, okay, so is any of this proven? No. But anecdotally, there are some things that are maybe noticed more. But um some, like, there's stuff like garlic and onion and cruciferous vegetables that sometimes can either make the baby, I think garlic is one of the things they say makes it taste good. I don't know. Did you ask the baby how it tastes? Like, I don't know. It's just like so strange to me. Um, or the baby's gassy. Um, Sometimes, like, if doctors will have moms like adjust their diet, or go dairy free. And I have to say, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And again, unfortunately, I wish I had an answer for that, but it really becomes trial and error if the baby is fussy. Um, I
Yeah.
would try. I hate elimination diets, but if the mom is absolutely desperate and she wants to try it, that's something I would help walk her through. And it wouldn't be an elimination diet that you eliminate all the food groups and then introduce it back. It would be the opposite of getting rid of one food group at a time and seeing if it does something, because you need the nutrition, you need the food to sustain, your health really in general.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Mary Rose, on that. Just because I know somebody that she was breastfeeding and her baby was so colicky, like just really, really bad colic. And they were like at their wits' end at that
Yeah.
point. And the doctor had mentioned, you could eliminate certain foods, and one of them was dairy. And they figured out that dairy somehow, her eating dairy was a trigger for the baby. And so she was like eliminating, all dairy products, and which stunk because she likes dairy products. But like you said, I don't know if there's any like proven facts to that, but I'm always curious to know like how that affects. And like I said, I know there's no like major studies to share any of that, but it's just very interesting how that works out. um
Yeah. They say like dairy, it could be soy, it could be eggs, it could be nuts, it could be, there's so many things. And again, I wish I had a concrete answer for that. I'm really happy that that helped her though, because sometimes women go through that and it doesn't help at all, and then they eliminated
yeah,
dairy for no reason really at the end of the
yeah,
day.
and that's why I said I definitely think it's like a more individualized approach. And something else that I wanted to ask about was, I I think a lot of mothers might think that a lot of the stuff that they eat would leach into breast milk.
Mm.
And so like one of them is caffeine. So like if a mom drinks a cup of coffee, is that going to go in their breast milk? Now obviously we've talked about, well, we haven't talked about it here, but like we know about alcohol, and that is not usually recommended to drink and then breastfeed or anything like that. So Is there any truth to that, like across the board, or is it like individual?
So with the caffeine, they do. It's kind of like the same when you're pregnant. I guess, what is it, 200 milligrams? That's what they usually say. It's like a cup of coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to alcohol, I have same what kind of what you said, but I want to add to it a little bit. Um, the rule of thumb that we have been taught that is if you can drive, you can breastfeed. So, but some women aren't comfortable with that, or some women, you had a wedding and like you went crazy, but I always say to not pump and dump. You could pump it, label it, and save it to use topically. So I'm not a proponent of like ever dumping breast milk. It could be used on sunburn. It could be used for styes. It could be used for pink eye. You can put it in the bath with the baby, like a milk bath, and it softens their skin. So I always just label it and say, this was Katie's wedding, and and it stays in the freezer for if you have a deep freezer for a year, and you could use it on anyone in the family. So
That's interesting. So there's
yeah,
all these like homeopathic
yeah,
remedies too for
yeah,
breast milk. Are there any
definitely.
other interesting ones?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There were also, not that I'm just saying what I learned with all my continuing ed credit of miracles that breast milk can do is it's helps with skin cancer. Like if you have I'm not saying it's going to cure it, but they're looking into that. There's these cells in breast milk called hmmm. It's an acronym. Don't ask me what what it stands for, but they're Hamlet cells. So they're researching it to treat skin cancer and also bladder cancer. They were injecting it directly into bladders, and people were excreting cancer cells. So there are these there were all these exciting studies going on with cancer research, and hopefully we'll get back to that. But there was some movement in there. Trying to think, yeah, the styes and the pink eye are like kind of really funny because it does help. I had a friend who she gave it to her husband and his sty was gone the next day. I mean, again, anecdotally, but it does have other uses for that too.
Well, we talked about the immune properties of breast milk when we talked about colostrum, and then you mentioned it earlier. So, I mean, obviously, they are prominent there, so it has to be helping. And then with the cancer cells, I mean, same thing. It's almost seeming like, now, I'm not a microbiologist, I don't work for any kind of companies that deal with cancer drugs, but like, kind of like immunotherapy and how it targets your own cells.
Yeah.
So is it doing something like that? That is so interesting. So I hope the research starts back up.
I do too. I mean, I think it's like an incredible opportunity. So,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to kind of circle back, and Emily, you kind of touched on it a little bit. So like the immune like support properties in breast milk and helping if it helps with the baby in terms of, their immune system, but also allergies. Like, is there any coincidental studies or anything like that that talk about allergies in breast milk?
Yeah, so they do say like the more varied the mom's diet is, the less likely the baby is to develop allergies later on in life. Um, Again, is that proven? I mean maybe because I was taught that, but yeah. So just it is a way to expose the baby to different things, I guess, through the mom's diet. So that's why a varied diet, just like all of us should be eating, really. Um,
Yeah.
we were talking sort of about antibodies before. Um, that's also a great, like when mom is sick, it actually is good to breastfeed when you're sick. If mom is actively coughing and sneezing, maybe she'd want to pump and then give it to the baby, or wear a mask because you don't want to like breathe like sickly onto the baby. But it is a great opportunity to give the baby some great antibodies. So
Didn't think of that. That's a good suggestion.
yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
Nice. So, as far as like the challenges that come with breastfeeding, you alluded to some earlier. What other ones come about? And I'm thinking more along the lines of like mental health challenges, any other like body and weight stigma challenges that come with breastfeeding, maybe in a family realm, not just necessarily the mother.
Oh well,
Well,
if you're gonna,
I
oh,
was going to say, I'm sorry. I was just going to add, like, the biggest thing that I heard growing up, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, and nor do I care to know, but I guess we could talk about it. Is like, if you breastfeed, you lose the baby weight. That was like the big thing, and I was like, yeah, I don't like that, because then there's that stigma. So I'm sorry. I don't know if you were going to talk about that at all.
No, I mean, again, I've helped a lot of women at this point. Do all of them lose the baby weight because they breastfed? No. Well, maybe they're taking those lactation cookies 3 times a day. Maybe that's why. But,
Yeah, which that's the culprit.
yeah. So challenges. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. Like there is things that pop up, like actually breast challenges. Like there's nipple pain. There's clogged ducts. There's mastitis. But then if you mentioned family before, everyone has an opinion. It seems to be people who are in the family who will support breastfeeding. Some people are like, "Why are you doing that?" Some people, "Why are you doing that and giving formula? Why are you giving formula?" It seems like there's always like a peanut gallery around when women have babies. So there's a lot of challenges. Mental health, again, I don't like to promote losing baby weight, but really when it comes down to it, everyone's asking for that. So like just a way to support that, because everyone's concerned, if you lose weight, am I going to lose my milk supply too? So that's another thing that I walk women through, because it's not true that if you lose weight and your boobs get smaller, like you're going to lose your supply. Again, it's the ice maker. As long as you keep emptying, you're going to keep making more. Um, there's so many challenges that come up. Like I before, when I started talking with like the nipple pain and the clogs and all of that, I mean, I can get into all of those. I'm not sure exactly what you.
What about like sleep and
Oh,
like the challenges of that,
yeah, we don't.
postpartum depression, like
I tell everyone the first 2 weeks is like pretty much hell. Remember, the baby's belly is like this big, so that's frequent feeding. That's almost like every 2 hours or even more than that. So sleeping through the night is not something that technically will happen. It will happen eventually, but it's just like getting through. I always like give 2 weeks as a goal. Like just know that it's going to be really, really hard. If you can get to that milestone, then things will start to get easier. But yeah, sleep deprivation for sure. That's another reason why, I mean, even if you give a bottle of breast milk to give someone else to give the baby and you want to sleep, that's great. But you still need to empty, you know, you still have to empty the breasts, which is just not fair. I mean, I don't know.
well, and I just think of like so one of our previous guests we were talking about like perimenopause and like just the effects it has on a woman and stress and your hormones. Like it is just, you can't sleep, so your hormones don't go back to their kind of equilibrium status at the beginning of the day. So you're up every 2 hours. So first off, that's also going to affect weight status because your body is not going to be able to reduce the cortisol levels and other hormone levels that are going all over the place during not just breastfeeding, but then all these other things. You're trying to make sure they poop. You're trying to make sure whatever they're crying about, you're taking care of it.
Yep, definitely. I always say, they say breastfeeding is a full-time job, but I say a full-time job is 40 hours a week. This is 24 hours a day. So it's more than a full-time job. It's actually, it's
So
all.
can you allude more? And I think again, this kind of leads into that mental health kind of considerations. How do moms who work full time, how do they do it? Now, obviously, we're talking more like very early on, but looking at like the postpartum 3 months, getting back into work, or if they don't even have 3 months to take off of work, because many United States of America citizens do not get that as a privilege. Some other countries get 6 months, some others get longer.
Yep.
So, how in the United States are we dealing with trying to promote breastfeeding, but then, oh, I got to go and make money, I have to go back to work? How do we do it?
Yeah, I mean, they say healing is a privilege, right? I mean, we don't necessarily get that, as you were saying. To go back to work, it takes a lot of planning. It depends on what mom wants to do. Does she want to continue to give the baby breast milk? Or is she totally over this breastfeeding and pumping and she wants to switch to formula? Either is fine. I am in the state of New York, so we actually have some really great laws that protect women going back to work. I'm not sure what it is in Pennsylvania or other states, but they are entitled to a private room with that locks. That's by a water source, not a bathroom, not a bathroom stall. Um, with an outlet, needs to have a desk for a pump. There's a lot of regulations that that women are entitled to, and they are protected for, I think it's 3 years after delivery. And
That's
they are,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah. So I said they can milk it. That's what I always say.
And I think that's so important that you said, you know, where they're located at to a locked door. And also, I believe time is included in that.
Yes,
Like they're allotted additional breaks beyond what they usually are, or longer than what they
they are.
usually are.
They're supposed to get as much time as they need to pump and not be penalized for it. Not just their lunch break, but if they need to pump more than that, they are supposed to be accommodated for that, at least in New York State, which we're lucky here in that regard.
Yeah.
So it does require a conversation with your employer to make sure that that's set up. Even if it's the manager, wherever you work, their office, you could do it in there. It's not supposed to. Again, it's not supposed to be like a bathroom stall, like the handicap stall in the bathroom.
Yeah, and I think going through HR is probably the better option because they have the laws. Your managers may not know them at all.
Right.
So
Right.
that would probably be the best option. And I want to say, if I heard correctly, that was a bipartisan bill. So that's fantastic that New York has that.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
that needs to just be across the United States. Thank you very much.
for sure. For sure.
We need a lot of more support for mothers and you know, parents in general too, but one step at a time, I guess.
Yeah. And back to just planning to go back to work. I mean, that's also building up your milk supply, you know. So that could look like after you're done nursing, maybe you pump for a little bit just to get a little bit more out. And then you start building up your milk supply and making a stash for the freezer. So that way, who's ever watching the baby can give the breast milk. So again, if that's the route that the mom tries to go to, it just, you know, it just takes a little bit more planning. So.
And nutritionally, then for like the infant and how that connects to breast milk, are there certain things that an infant doesn't get from breast milk that we really should supplement them with? And also, like, is there anything in regards to well, we talked a lot about immunity, but any other immune connection that you can think of?
Yeah, so fully breastfed babies are usually prescribed a vitamin D supplement, which can be given. You can actually, it's a liquid. It's not a pill. It's a liquid dropper of vitamin D. It can go right on mom's breast. It could be a dropper right into a bottle, and then later on, which is something we do at WIC, we actually screen for anemia at 9 months old for all babies, and 9 out of 10 times the fully breastfed babies, their hemoglobin is low. So formula is fortified with iron, so breast milk is lacking that. So usually there would be some type of iron supplement or multivitamin that the doctor decides to prescribe for the baby.
And so you mentioned at 9 months then. So typically, what's the time frame we tend to start adding food or pureed foods or whatnot into an infant's diet?
Yeah, so infants, they have everything they need through formula and breast milk for 6 months. So 6 months is the recommendation for starting spoon feeding. Some babies will be ready before that. Depending on your doctor, they may say 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. What I always recommend is if the baby's able to sit up on their own, then they're ready for spoon feeding. You don't want a baby to be like flopping over in the high chair, especially at 4 months. If they're not sitting up there by themselves, there's really no need to rush spoon feeding, or like finger feed, like whatever you choose to do. But yeah, that would be the standard answer would be at 6 months old at the WIC program. That's when we start to give baby food. So like the cereal and the jars of pureed fruits and vegetables, that's at 6 months old.
And so by adding cereals, those are typically iron fortified too. So we're getting that iron into them if you're starting to add food. So typically, if you're at WIC seeing these deficiencies, it's because maybe they're not adding those types of foods then.
Yeah, but even with that, I noticed that fully breastfed babies that are even eating other foods, they will have like a little bit lower of a hemoglobin than babies that are on formula only and food. It's very interesting. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm like, I actually tell the mom ahead of time, don't be surprised, you did absolutely nothing wrong. This is just typically what happens.
And so then is the multivitamin, is that kind of the decision maker or helper for that?
Yeah, it's a little boost, little love boost, but yeah, the
Yeah.
doctor prescribes that. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Nice.
love boost. Nice. Okay, Mary Rose. So I think we covered a lot, and I think, there's a lot of myths out there. So I don't know if you want to go through a couple of them and, kind of debunk them a little bit.
Okay.
If you're down.
Yeah, give it to me. I can't wait to rant.
Okay. So let's see. So this is interesting. You can't breastfeed if you have small breasts.
Incorrect. First of all, your breasts do grow, like at least a little bit when you start breastfeeding. When you're pregnant, like your body prepares itself. So just because you have smaller breasts now, or not now, but who is ever not pregnant, doesn't mean they're not going to grow. You can definitely breastfeed a baby with what are we calling small breasts? Like, I guess that's subjective.
An A cup, a B cup, I don't know.
I know. I mean,
I know somebody that, and I don't know if she listens to this or not, but like she is like not even an A. Like she's very small, and that's totally fine. But like she breastfed 2 babies, and I'm like, good for you. Like,
thank
love
you.
that.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. There is something I can say about this a little bit, is that one of the situations that you may need to supplement because you're not making enough breast milk is because you got a breast reduction surgery. And it's not because the breasts are smaller, it's because during that surgery they sever one of the glands that is part of the production of breast milk. So that would only be the only reason why. And it doesn't have to do with the volume of the breast, it has to do with what happened during the surgery.
Well, I don't know if this was on my list of myths. I didn't get that far down, but can you still breastfeed if you had breast implants?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So it's actually not even the breast augmentation surgery, it's the breast reduction surgery that would affect it. And again, not because the breasts are small, it's because of the surgery.
That's interesting because my friend had both done and she cannot breastfeed because of, so obviously it was the reduction reason, not the implant reason.
It's checking out.
Yeah. All right. Next one. This is an interesting one. You need to drink milk to make milk.
No. I actually
You're like, no.
I haven't actually heard that in years. But no, it's like, what, like cow's milk puts milk into your breasts? No. No.
Hard no. That was a
So
no.
if you drink chocolate milk, does it come out chocolate?
Yeah, with that logic, yes.
Oh, this is interesting, and I don't think we covered it. Once your period returns, your milk supply will drop.
Okay. Correlation or causation? This is one of those things. So usually a period, again, every woman is different. So usually, 4, 5, 6 months old, your period would come back if you're fully breastfeeding. But what did we just say happens at 4, 5, 6 months old? The baby starts eating, spoon feeding and eating other food. So you're breastfeeding a little bit less, which ice maker, you're not emptying as much. So that's why your supply would go down at that time.
Okay. So this one, I think we touched on it, but I don't know if you have any more to elaborate. You have to wean off by a certain age.
No, girl, you do what you want to do. You wean off when you feel like it. That could be 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. You can breastfeed for as long as you want.
Isn't there like a mother in France or something that had like a 4-year-old?
Yeah, I mean that's like on Grown Ups too. That movie Grown Ups. The kid was like
Yeah.
8, and he's like passing. Yeah,
Yeah, is there any age where they should stop?
not my business. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go there.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you do you, and if
Yeah,
you want to do that, that's fine.
not hurting anyone.
I think we covered a lot of them. So I guess, you know, last one, we know the answer, but your diet alone determines your milk quality.
No, incorrect. Your milk's composition actually changes for many reasons. Like actually throughout the same feed, there's a different composition. There's hind milk, fore milk. There's different times of day. Like toward the end of the day, you could have a little bit more melatonin. It doesn't necessarily have to only do with what you're eating. There's a lot of different reasons why milk composition can change.
And that brings up a point when we were talking about like going back to work and the time allotted to feed. What if you're given 10 minutes to feed? Are you going to produce the same type of milk, or the same, like, are you going to have enough fore milk and hind milk? Like, what's going to be that composition if you're only given a short time to feed?
I mean, you do what you can. Again, we're not like microbiologists looking under the microscope, so I can't say for sure. But yeah, I mean, you just do what you, if you have the 10 minutes, that's what you have, and you do it and you use it.
Because it's more, again, getting rid of what's in there to continue to supply it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we've touched on a ton. So to kind of wrap this up a little bit, what are some other like practical tips for dietitians or future practitioners to whether it's collaborate with lactation consultants or to refer potentially to one?
I guess it depends on your area of where you're working. I think I don't work clinically in a hospital, but there could be a collaboration with, let's say, a baby in the NICU, and the dietitian is figuring out a formula and working with the mom to pump milk and give the milk as well. That's something that you can get the lactation consultant in there as well. I mean, that could go hand in hand for sure. But I don't know if that answers the question, but I can try to think of more. Is that the question?
No, I think that I think that's good, and I think that totally makes sense, and yeah, I think for just like the last thing to wrap up is like any final words of wisdom or anything that you want to share that you didn't get to share that you want to leave our audience with and us with, and then we'll do our sweet and sours.
Okay. I always just want to again repeat like how important education is during the prenatal period, and even before that. I said before it should be taught in high schools. I think that women and men, like, they should know what's going on. We're expected to be women to bear children. Like, we need to support each other. So that's why I found this little part of the world that I can maybe help with, even though I haven't done it myself. But this is like a calling for me. So yeah, if you have a friend who's pregnant, encourage her to sit with a certified lactation counselor or someone to prep. Don't just go on TikTok. I feel like when I was in college, we had to like deal with Dr. Oz on, cable television, and now it's anyone on TikTok who could say whatever they want about, any topic really. But yeah, I think just as women, we need to support each other in any way we can. So yeah, support your pregnant friends, support them after they have the baby, not just the first 3 days. Don't go over there just to help to hold the baby. Go over there with a purpose. Send her food, DoorDash, clean her house. Yeah, we have to support each other in that regard. Anyway, so I mean, that's something I'm a big proponent of. Women supporting women and men supporting women as well, not just us. It can't just be up to us.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. And I know we have some good sweet and sours coming, I think. So I can feel it.
Yeah. Okay. Do I go first?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to say maybe end on your sweet, but you can do it in whatever order you want. So if you want to do sweet first, go for it.
All right. Sure. I'll go. I'll I'll do my sweet first, and I'm just gonna say it. I think my sweet is "The Life of a Showgirl" by Taylor Swift, and I have been enjoying it, and I don't care what people say. So my sour is the haters that are gonna hate, 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 hate. Okay, I've been enjoying
Yeah,
it.
I've been hearing mixed reviews.
Love
I
it.
am confessionally not a Swiftie, so I can't say for sure like anything about it, but I've heard mixed reviews, so I'm glad that you're like all for it.
You know what? The mixed reviews are just people who, you know what? Just don't say it. Aren't we taught if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it?
Very true.
Yeah.
And it's like it's art. Just let it be.
It's art.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not hurting anyone. What's going on? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I too, I'm not like a huge, I like her. I love Taylor Swift herself, and I like certain eras.
Yeah.
So I haven't listened. I haven't fully listened. I mean, when I was playing it in my car, they kept playing it every different song from the album. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting a little feel for it, but I didn't really like listen to it. So I have no comment yet. I'm not going to say if I like it or don't. And like you said, if I don't like it, she's Taylor Swift. Like, don't get me wrong, I like her, but if I don't like that music, well, I like plenty of her other music. So I'm not judging her based on one album out of how many.
She has 12 albums.
Yeah.
Out. Okay, I'm sorry. What is she, 35, 36?
36. Well, she will be 36. I do know her birthday.
Yeah, December 13th, 1989. I know, because I'm December. Yeah, not. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'm not a blind supporter that I love every single one of her songs, but I mean, I'm enjoying what's out, and let me live. That's how I feel.
Even if you're a big fan of any artist, isn't there a song you're just like, that's a skip for me? Like, exactly. I'm not gonna listen to that one. Like, we don't love every single song our musicians put out, regardless. So
agreed. Yeah. I feel like she's held to a higher standard, and it bothers me. So that's
there's a sour. You ended on a sour.
Okay. I guess then that's my turn, right, Em?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Unless you want to go. Okay. So my sour is kind of. I have to pack, and I don't want to because I'm going to Fancy, which is kind of my sweet, but I kind of don't really. I'll be honest, I don't really care to go this year. So
wait, Andy Cohen's gonna be there. No.
Yeah, Andy Cohen. Carla Hall is going to be there, which I do like her.
That's exciting.
And Ellie Krieger is going to be there.
Ellie Krieger is going to be there?
Yeah, she's one of the keynotes too.
Why am I not going? That's my sour. I'm not going to Fancy.
You're real sour. Yeah, I've been to Nashville twice, so I could care. Like, normally I'm like, if it's a good destination, I definitely want to go. But I usually have to go for work anyway, so I just don't really care to go, and I'm just very busy right now. And I'm gonna save my sour for my other sour for another thing that we do later. But in terms of like, I'm not looking forward to packing. I don't like packing sometimes, but then like I am excited to go, and I do like to travel. So I don't know, but I am going to Fancy, so it'll be nice to see some people that I know. So that's kind of also my sweet, which is good. Yeah.
That was your sweet?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I kind of just, they blended.
That's fine. I wanted to confirm I heard that.
Yeah. So it is my sweet because I am going, and I'm sure when I get there, I'm going to be like super happy I went, blah, blah, blah. But right now I'm like, I don't want to pack, and it's stressful, and nah. So that's how I feel right now.
Well, that I think that's a good sweet and sour. I'm not going to Fancy. I feel like I actually have only been to Fancy once. That was my internship year. I keep saying every year I'm going to go, but this year it was just, I don't know how you're doing the travel thing, Mickey, but it was just too hard from where we are. So for a weekend, I'm like, that's just too much travel. So I said, never mind. I'll go next year. So I'll start with my sour. My sour is that, I was talking to MaryRose earlier about this, that I don't know, this country, we're just in such negative attitudes and our empathy is just not there. I hope it changes. I know a lot of people look to their religious beliefs, but unfortunately, I don't think that's helping right now. I don't think people are either using it or they're not understanding, maybe if they're using their religion, what is really being said. So it makes me sad. I grew up in a different country. Life was a lot different. And moving back here, I kind of feel like that way again. our world, our country, I should say, is, I mean, our world is, but our country is just not in the greatest place right now. So I hope we can come to more bipartisan choices and bills and work together, because not everything's going to be the way we want it to be, but we need to find some middle ground somewhere and empathize with each side, if you will. So that's my sour. So then we will end on a good, positive, sweet. So kind of going off Mickey's, I do also have to pack. I am going on vacation in 2 days. So I will be on vacation when this episode airs. So I will be in a nice tropical area. I'm not sure if it's going to be sunny out. I'm hoping it is, but there might be a little storm, hurricane. I don't know. We'll hope not. So I'm just looking forward to vacation, because I really haven't been like gone somewhere in a while. I lied. I was somewhere last month, but it was a conference, so like I didn't really enjoy a lot of it. Exactly. Like, and that's Mickey. Like when you say, "Oh, I like to go to places that like I've never been before for fancy," I think the same, but then I'm like, I'm gonna be inside all day at a conference, so like, why does it matter? I mean, nightlife.
Typically try to make a point to get there at least if I can afford to do it, at least a day early or stay a day late. Because also traveling takes a lot out of me. So like I don't know how people do the whole, like they leave the conference and then they like, more power to you. I am not that person. I need to make sure that I have enough time to get to where I'm going and like be relaxed in that. So like I'll usually try and make a point to, like, I call it get my bearings, and I'll like kind of walk around, explore and stuff, like kind of do all that and like take advantage a little bit. So that's kind of why, like, I will see at least a day's worth. Like last year when it was in Minneapolis, I did take a day to like go and like explore, and that was nice to do. But I know not everybody can do that, and that's totally fine. And yeah, so I that's kind of why I say that, but like, yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I'm excited for you for going on vacation. I want to come.
Thanks. Yeah, it'll be nice. So but, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I do have to pack too.
Let's pack together.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and end our episode here with MaryRose. Thank you so much for joining us. I learned a lot, little reminders too, and some great information, I think, for our listeners during this women's health season that we're doing here. So, as we always end our show, if you're in the mood for a little boost of juice, check out our freshly squeezed episodes on Sundays of the RD Squeeze. And we will see you next episode, our last episode of the season. Just Mickey and I this time, no guests. And we will close out season 4. So thanks everyone for listening in, and have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are listening from. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Be sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. We will always take topics you want to hear about, so message us for any topics you want to see covered on the RD Squeeze. Don't forget, it's Dietitian with a T. We'll see you next time on the RD Squeeze.